This video is sponsored by Aura. If you've ever experienced identity theft, think about what happened and how it impacted you. What did you learn from the experience, and what steps did you take to recover? Sharing your story can help others understand the importance of protecting their identity and inspire them to take action with Aura and their different features to avoid a similar situation. Data broker opt-out, identity theft protection, financial fraud protection, certified data security and privacy, VPN, antivirus, password manager, and 24/7 US-based support. Don't leave yourself open to hackers and scammers. Go to aura.com/KrystlynCrime to get your 14-day free trial. Thanks again to Aura for sponsoring this video. On the early morning of April 26, 1871, a horrifying discovery was made on a lonely stretch of Kidbrooke Lane in Eltham. At around 4 a.m., passersby stumbled upon the battered body of a young woman. She was still alive, though barely clinging to consciousness, and bleeding heavily from devastating head wounds. A blood-stained hammer lay close by, the likely weapon of the assault. Though her purse, containing over 11 shillings, remained untouched, ruling out robbery, the savagery of the attack was unmistakable. And crucially, there was no sign of SA. The victim was soon identified as 17-year-old Jane Maria Clouson, a domestic servant. Before she slipped into unconsciousness for the final time, she allegedly whispered the name of her attacker, Edmund Pook. Pook was just 20 years old and the son of a respectable Greenwich family. His father, Ebenezer Witcher Pook, was a tradesman printer with connections to the Times newspaper. Jane had worked in their household as a maid, but it was rumored that her relationship with the Pook family had gone far beyond that of servant and employer. Witnesses and neighbors claimed Jane and Edmund had been involved in a secret affair for months. The affair, it was said, had left Jane pregnant. Edmund, however, was determined not to marry beneath his station. His elder brother had already angered the family by marrying a woman considered socially inferior, and Edmund would not repeat that mistake. Instead, Jane was dismissed from her position in the Pook household. The Pook family insisted her dismissal had nothing to do with an illicit romance. They described Jane as untidy, careless, and unsuitable for service, and claimed the rumors were little more than malicious gossip. But suspicions deepened when it was alleged that Edmund and Jane had continued their relationship in secret after her dismissal, meeting privately and exchanging romantic letters. Yet, when the police searched for evidence, no such letters could be found, and no witnesses to these supposed meetings ever came forward. Even without the letters, the circumstantial evidence against Pook mounted. A shopkeeper testified that he had sold a hammer, matching the one found at the crime scene, to a young man resembling Pook only days earlier. Several witnesses claimed to have seen a man of his description fleeing Kidbrooke Lane the night of the murder. Reports also emerged that his trousers bore suspicious stains of blood and mud, and no fewer than 7 witnesses swore they had seen Jane and Edmund together on the evening she was attacked. The case was brought first before the coroner's inquest. Based on the weight of public suspicion and the testimony presented, Pook was declared guilty of the willful murder of Jane Maria Clouson. The case then moved to the Central Criminal Court at the Old Bailey, where a full trial began on July 10, 1871. The courtroom was packed with curious spectators, their attention drawn by salacious rumors of scandal, betrayal, and class division. Pook's defense was formidable. He was represented by Queen's Counsel Mr. Huddleston, assisted by Mr. Harrington and Mr. Besley. The prosecution, no less formidable, was led by the Solicitor General, with support from Mr. Poland, Mr. Archibald, and Mr. Beasley. The trial was presided over by Sir William Beauville, Chief Justice of the Common Pleas. One of his earliest rulings proved critical. He declared that Jane's alleged deathbed statements naming Pook as her attacker were hearsay, and therefore inadmissible as evidence. With this decision, the most direct piece of testimony against Edmund was stripped from the record. Other pillars of the prosecution's case began to crumble under scrutiny. Witnesses contradicted one another, and supposed certainties turned into doubts. The hammer was never definitively proven to have belonged to Edmund. The blood on his trousers could not be confirmed as human. And though many claimed to have seen him with Jane that night, none could provide proof strong enough to withstand cross-examination. On July 15th, after only 12 minutes of deliberation, the jury returned its verdict: not guilty. The decision sent shockwaves through London. Newspapers had printed Edmund as guilty even before the trial began, and the public had gathered in droves outside the Old Bailey, eager for justice. When news of his acquittal reached the waiting crowd, the mood turned bitter. Anger and outrage rippled through the streets. Many believed Pook had escaped punishment, not because of his innocence, but because of his privileged position, his father's connections, and the skill of his legal team. The controversy only deepened in the weeks that followed. On July 18th, the Times published a scathing editorial questioning the conduct of the police. 2 days later, the matter was raised in Parliament itself. The question was clear. Had justice been denied to a poor servant girl because her accused killer came from a family of influence? For Edmund Pook, acquittal did not bring freedom. Hounded by the press, vilified by pamphlets openly calling him a murderer, he and his family were forced to flee London, changing their names to escape the shadow of the crime. Despite repeated attempts to clear his name, the accusation of murder clung to him for the rest of his life. In the years that followed her brutal death, tales of Jane Maria Clouson's ghost began to spread. Patrolmen walking Kidbrooke Lane after dark claimed to see her pale figure in a white dress, her face streaked with blood, her moans echoing through the night. For years afterward, Kidbrooke Lane was haunted, at least in the minds of locals. Police on patrol swore they saw a ghostly figure in white, with her face streaked with blood, crying out for help in the dead of night. To many, it was the restless spirit of Jane Maria Clouson, still seeking justice denied in life. Eventually, the lane was built over, and the sightings stopped. The murder of Jane Maria Clouson remains one of the most haunting unsolved cases of Victorian London. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this video entertaining. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps me out and lets you know when new content drops. Don't forget to hit the like button and leave a comment. I love hearing from you guys. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.